a big problem is often just that when it is in another country, like with the India example, there's just such little information and statistics that it's kind of really hard to tell the true story. Whereas, I mean, we still have a statistic problem here in Britain when it comes to rape and sexual assault, but there are kind of clearer figures, where in India it feels like a lot of it is just not known. So it's kind of really hard to tell the story in a really accurate way when you don't have that information. So that kind of could explain a bit why we might have this, where it kind of seems like it's being over-exaggerated there, for example.
It's dangerous because then once you start talking about rapes in Nigeria, #BringBackOurGirls, or the situation in India, it is very easy for people to then slide into like, oh, you know, those cultures awful, the way they treat women, you know, it's how could that would never happen in our culture? Well, it does. I mean, it doesn't happen on such a grand scale with, you know, loads of schoolgirls getting abducted right away, like what happened in Nigeria. But I mean, it, you know, it happens in middle class white places. You know, it happens in the Oxford campus. So I mean, so in some ways there is a tendency to say like, okay, you know, or in Bosnia, or like, you know, rape happening in conflict zones. Like, well, it also happens in prosperous zones. It happens in peaceful zones. So I think again, there's that tendency to other, and those kinds of narratives. Yeah, I mean, they are reporting awful things that happen in other countries, but they tend to fall into that stereotype too easily of, you know, the other cultures are savages essentially.
With the India thing, it's also really interesting because I have friends who like kind of live in India or are from there, and they would always just say, you know, the Western media makes it sound so much worse than it is. It's really just not any different to probably other countries. And that was kind of a really, really big message that kept happening. So in those situations, I think it's really important that, you know, Western media kind of gives that voice to people who are in those countries who kind of know what they're talking about.